Hello folks, and welcome back to Paul Anderson Guitar on YouTube. These lessons are bonus lessons for my pupils at altringhamguitarschool.com, but if you're not from there, then I hope these help you out anyway. Every Monday we're doing alternating between pop chart songs. So last week it was The Weeknd. And this Monday it's Metallica, Enter Sandman. So this lesson is brought to you by my COVID hair and this 1993 original Metallica black songbook, complete with Cedar tape holding it together. I used to rinse this book back in the day. It's such a cool album. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Every Monday we'll be doing new lessons. And every Friday we do new Funk Friday lesson. That's where I'll be analyzing and teaching different licks from great players like Marcus King, George Benson, Joe Bonamassa, John Mayer, looking at how they're playing, how they use the blues especially, and to help you develop vocabulary for your funk and blues playing, all right, and fusion playing, of course. So let's crack on. So first of all, we've got the main riff. The main riff starts on the and of 4, so it's a bit weird. Okay, it's quite off-putting at first because the drums come in a slightly different place to how you'd expect. So if I count the riff, it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay, and then it loops that. So we're starting off in the 5th position. 5th position, of course, meaning our first finger is over our 5th fret. Okay, and then each finger is consecutively afterwards, so 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th, 8th. We do this because it just makes it easier to navigate the neck, rather than flying one finger around everywhere, which is what a lot of people do when they're first starting. So we're going to start off with open E string, then 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the A string, 1st finger on the 5th fret of the D string, middle finger on the 6th fret of the E string, 1st finger on the 5th fret. So we get 0, 3, 1, 2, 1, and then we finish the riff with a 7th fret on the A string. So we get, and that bounces back into the riff. And it loops like that. Okay, and it does that 12 times, but the 12th time we land on an E5 at the end. So we get, okay, which is quite a fast move. 0, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3 into an E5 power chord. Okay, now we're going to be chugging. I'm turning on the faithful distortion, which for me is actually an overdrive pedal. It's the Glove Electro Harmonics. And I quite like it. So this next riff happens 4 times, and we are playing quavers. So we do, or 8th notes as Americans call them, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're chugging on and chugging. We're going to palm mute, and we're going to just rest the fleshy part of a hand on the E string, and we're going to do 7 of those, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then slide to the 7th fret on the A string. So we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we. Alright, and that happens 4 times. Now me, I'm sliding from the 7th fret, but you can slide from wherever you like. Sorry, I'm sliding from the 5th fret, but you can slide from the 6th, or, you know, I just find the 5th fret is the best ratio of slide for that particular thing. Okay, so moving on, we have the next riff. So Metallica they're quite proggy in their approach. So they'll have a riff, and then they'll change it slightly, and then play that riff for a while, and they'll change it again, and it will kind of develop, yeah? So the next riff, we're sliding to the 7 again, but we're sliding on the 2nd beat. So we're going 1 and 2, and then we're using the 6th fret of the E string, and then open, and then to F5 power chord. So this gets this. F5 power chord. Alright, that happens 4 times, and then the riff changes ever so slightly again. So now we change it slightly, we go 6 like before, and then 5. And then F5, so we just added the 5th note. Okay, so we go. Alright, that happens 7 times, and then the 8th time it changes slightly. So etc. That happens 7 times, and then the 8th time we land on an E5. Okay, that rings out, and then it becomes like a heavier version of the intro riff. Okay, so we've gone E5, E5 again, slide to the 7, 6, 5, a little pause, open E, and then E5 again. So that goes. Okay, now what that takes us into the next cool bit of the riff. So that happens, hold on, 1, 2, 3, yeah, so the 3rd time, at the end of it, it changes. So we get. And here, we hit the open E again, then we land on the G5, open E again, F sharp 5, open E again, F sharp 5 again, G5, F sharp 5, E. So let me just play that slowly. You don't need to move the shoulder. In fact, you shouldn't. Okay, so we get this. Yep, and it repeats, so you got to do it again. All right, now, it's important to remember that it wouldn't be that fast. I was just kind of speeding it up for the lesson. Speaking of speed, do make sure when you're learning that you play clearly and cleanly and accurately. Do not think about speed. Everyone thinks about speed, but it's the last of those 4 steps. Clean, clear, accurate. You could say the clean and clear are the same, all right, and accurate. But either way, make sure that it sounds good slow, okay? Does it sound smooth? Is the timing there? Yeah? Don't worry about speed. As Guthrie Govan says in one of my favorite guitar quotes, speed is the byproduct of accuracy. All right? So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to come back next week. We're going to be doing a pop song, rock song, pop song, rock song, alternating on Mondays, and Fridays is Funk Friday, okay? I don't know what's coming up next week on Funk Friday. I think, or this week, sorry. I think it is the second part of the George Benson riff, but it might be Marcus King. Either way, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.